Hey guys, it's Wednesday, April 15th at 3:30. I haven't done an update in a while, so I feel like I have a lot to cover in this video. I'm going to try to do the best that I can to cover all the things that I want to talk about, and also keep it into one video, because I think two videos, the message gets lost often. So I think the last video I did was asking people to comment or send me videos about feminism and what it means to them individually, what it means to them with regards to being transgender, transsexual, genderqueer. I want to thank each and every one of you that sent me personal messages, that did video responses, that commented on the video. I just want to do a quick update on how that went. It was really quite successful. The session that I was sitting on, Men in Feminism, the attendance was really high. Standing room only, people were sitting on the ground. I was one of 6 or 7 panel members of different ethnicities, different sexualities, definitely different presentations of male gender, masculinity, and all that sort of stuff. So going into it, nobody knew that I was trans, the other panel members or the audience for the most part. And so coming out in that and having that point of reference, the voice from that point of reference being heard was really awesome. Very well received. Lots of positive feedback from that. So I shared some of the stories that you all shared with me, and overwhelmingly people were very appreciative to hear from folks that have existed in both spaces within society, male masculine space and female feminine space. So I want to say thank you for giving me your guys' information and your willingness to allow me to share it with others. So along those same lines, I've been doing a lot of speaking engagements and classes in different places around campus and around town, and I know that other people in their videos have brought up the idea of being stealth and not being stealth, or when to come out and why to come out, and when is it relevant and when is it not relevant. And there's lots of debate, and for me, I really truly believe that that is an individual decision, and it's really not something that is open for public debate in the sense of the rightness or wrongness of one's decision to come out or when to come out, or the reasons for it. I can only speak from my point of view, is that what works really well for me and what makes sense for me and what feels right for me is to live a very out and open life, and accepting and embracing my transgender and transsexual identity. And that doesn't mean that I don't consider myself a man, in regards to the debate of male, female, transgender as like a separate gender or sex category. I am both male identified, transgender identified, and female bodied in some regards, because I still have external attributes of that of a female. So for me to encompass and incorporate all of those sorts of things works for me. So speaking in classes and lending a voice to trans people and the trans movement, and trans oppression and trans violence, and all of those sorts of things that oftentimes university students may read about or watch a video about, I think that I provide an opportunity for people to interact face to face and ask questions, and really disarm a bit some of the preconceived notions or ideas of what it means to be transgender, transsexual. I give people an opportunity to ask questions that are otherwise inappropriate to ask, such as, you know, what is your body like, and what's this feel like, what's this seem like? Because overwhelmingly we as trans people tell people it's inappropriate to pathologize us and ask us personal questions that we would never really consider asking somebody else. And I agree with that totally and completely. However, the only way that someone can learn and be educated is if they're given the opportunity to ask the questions. So in my process of speaking in classes and being out, what I hope to do is be able to provide a forum in which those questions are asked appropriately. Now, having said all of that, overwhelmingly the response that I've gotten to being as out as I am and speaking in classes has been very positive. I've gotten a lot of amazing feedback from people. I think that I have assisted in the trans visibility at the university that I attend. There is now a trans task force that is made up of faculty and staff and administrators that is their sole intention is to make Chico State a more trans-inclusive, more trans-friendly campus. I will be speaking to the medical director and the doctors at the Student Health Center about transitioning and what it's like to be trans at Chico State, the barriers, how the medical professions can help, assist in them continuing to provide hormones to both trans men and women. So it's been really, really good. But with everything that's good, every once in a while something negative crops up, and I had an experience this past weekend. It was my girlfriend's birthday, and her mom was here, and we'd gone out to dinner. And this happens frequently, and I know a lot of folks can relate to the idea of being stared at your entire life, and so I have just gotten used to being stared at. It's just part of my experience, and I used to respond much differently than I respond now. And the more out I am and the more I speak in classes, in the last 2 weeks I've spoken to probably close to 300 different students, and comes with that is people recognizing you and talking about you as you're there, or even coming up to me and talking to me, which is all fine. I really appreciate that. So we're in a restaurant, and these two women are clearly talking about me, talking to each other about me, looking at me, and first it's like, okay, so this is what's going to happen, and then usually it kind of mellows out, but they didn't really mellow out about it, and it crossed from being almost flattering to uncomfortable. And then when it crossed into the uncomfortable space, I became hyper aware of my surroundings, and I noticed that the one woman was text messaging somebody, and so I scanned the room and found a man sitting at a table who was receiving text messages and then was looking at me and pointing at me, and it very quickly moved into the realm in which I felt or perceived threat, and it became very uncomfortable. And this continued throughout dinner, and it was nothing overt, and it was nothing in my face, but my level of discomfort and the level of threat that I felt for myself, but also for my girlfriend and her mom, was quite intense. And it was for me one of the results or consequences of being out, and it scared me, and it really made me question in just a moment the payoff, because everything we do it because there's a payoff of some sort, and it made me question the payoff of being as out as I am, because I don't like feeling physically unsafe. And when someone is overt about their prejudice or their discrimination or their hatred or whatever, in the sense that they come up and they say something directly to me, like, I know how to navigate through that. Like, here's this comment, here's what I can do with it, and then it's done. But when somebody is passive with their violence, it's a much different sort of thing, because there's nothing tangible to hold on to, there's nothing to process, there's nothing to work through, and for many folks there's nothing even to be acknowledged or seen, because everyone else in that restaurant was completely unaware of what was going on. But had that man and those two women came up to me and been very overt in their feelings, then other people could have, there's some validation that occurs in that. So I just wanted to share that story and realize that for me, everything has a payoff, and what continues to be a greater payoff is the 1,000 positive things that I experience being out as I am, as opposed to that one negative thing. And along with those thousands of positive things, one of the people that was in a class that I spoke to was so motivated and touched by my story and what I talked about, and the way that I presented my story, and just generally how I carry myself, that he actually wrote a song about me and my transition and how I am in the world, and how I impacted him and his belief system. And so the trans task force that I was just speaking about, he came yesterday, the day before, irrelevant, as a surprise guest and sang the song, and it was unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable to see this person who's a complete and total stranger to me and be as moved and impacted as he was by my story. And he's not trans-identified, he's a cisgender man, and it was just an opportunity for him to be exposed to something other than what mainstream heteronormative society tends to provide to people. So that was really, really cool. So let's see what else is going on. Christine and I are moving in like 40 some odd days up to Portland, looking for housing, looking for work, graduating, all that sort of stuff. So it's taking up a lot of time and energy. I am at my year anniversary of my medical transition, I started testosterone April 23rd. So there'll be a video coming up that is kind of documents that. I think I'm just going to do a visual sort of different images over the past year. And then June 3rd is my surgery anniversary. So I don't think I have a heck of a lot of time left on this video, so I have some other things that I want to talk about, but I will save that, I suppose, for the next video. All right, later.